So I hope you all can hear me, and I've written here down a few words to start with. As someone told me, I have to start with something, and it starts with, finally, the day we have been waiting for so long. This is wrong. Let me start again. It's absolutely fantastic to see you all here in Zeuthen. A warm welcome at the very beginning to all of you. It's really great to see you. Thanks a lot for being here. For the opening of the SDMC, I think it's for us, and it's an important sign for science in these times. So I'm Christian Stegmann. I'm the head of the DESY site here in Zeuthen, this fantastic place, and I'm your host today. And I look forward to navigating, let's see how this works, to navigating out through the evening today. And I mentioned this already several times, this is not part of my job description here. And so to host a show, and I would not be able to do this without a lot of people. You see them everywhere, distributed here. And this is a big thanks to the team here in Zeuthen and also from Hamburg for making this event possible, and is, as always, if everything works out, it's only because this team exists. If everything that does not work out is my fault. And so a very warm welcome, I think, to people who will join me and bring me here to the evening. Thanks, welcome to Mario Brandenburg from the BMBF, to Tobias Dünow from our ministry here in Brandenburg, to Ottmar Wiesler from the Helmholtz Association, and then also a warm welcome to Stuart McMulder, here. And first of all, to Beate Heinemann here from DESY. I'm very happy that you are here and that we together can open this building today. I'm also very, very happy to see so many of our colleagues here from the Cherenkov Telescope Array Observatory, CTAO, here. Thank you very much for coming, and this emphasizes even more the importance of this event for all of us. I very warmly welcome all the representatives, and I see many of them here, also from the ministry here in Brandenburg, from Potsdam, from our finance ministry, very important, with a lot of support from them, but also from our ministry here for research, for science, and for culture, and also I see many, many of you, I think you're all distributed here. And then also seen a lot of our mayors, I see there, Mr. Martins and Mr. Enoch from our local communities here. Thanks for seeing you. See also Etzler from the Technical University here in Wildau. I'm very, very pleased to see you all here. And I just heard also that Herr Nährlich from Wildau, our mayor from Wildau, is also here. Great, very warm welcome and good to see you here. So, dear guests and partners from science, from politics, from the region, from Germany, and from all around the world. And of course, dear members of DESY, or DESYaner, or DESYanerinnen, how we actually call them. A very warm welcome here. And I have to say again, I'm very impressed by how many people are here today. And also a warm greeting to everyone watching the live stream. I'm not sure what to do in this case. I have to look into a camera and wave. So very warm welcome wherever, this camera there. I have a great team in the back, really a great team. We are here today to celebrate an important milestone for science, in particular for the investigation of our universe and for international cooperation. We have reached an important milestone for the CTAO and the development here for our campus in Zeuthen. And in addition, it also stands out for the strong commitment to the values of the open international scientific community, for freedom, for democracy and self-determination. It's a powerful sign to see you all here from all over the world for these values through open and transparent research. It's all the more wonderful that you are all here today to share this important moment with us. CTAO itself It's an outstanding example for this. With telescope sites on the Canary Island of La Palma and in Chile, as well as 2 central facilities in Europe, with headquarters in Bologna in Italy, and the SDMC here in Zeuthen, the project symbolizes the shared vision of free and open science in Europe and the world. And I'm particularly pleased that so many colleagues from the CTAO headquarters from Bologna are here, and I look forward very much to continue to work together as partners in the coming years. Our common aim is to establish the headquarters and the SDMC as 2 beacons for open science and thus promote access to scientific knowledge for all. And for us here in Germany, the Federal Ministry of Education and Research plays a central role when it comes to promoting science and research. This great support is not only evident in the development of DESY here in Zeuthen and in Hamburg, but also very specifically in the funding, in the funding we get for the CTAO, especially in the construction here also of the SDMC as we see it here in Zeuthen. I'm therefore particularly pleased that you, Mr. Brandenburg, have taken the time to be with us today. We greatly appreciate your support and welcome you warmly. Please join me in welcoming the Parliamentary State Secretary of the BMBF, Mario Brandenburg. Thanks.
Yes, hello, good evening. Impressive view. I'm impressed. So, and in total, I guess we should not talk about too much about that view back in the ministry because people could be jealous to some extent. So no, honestly, it's really wonderful to look in so many bright and happy faces, and therefore thanks for the invitation to the inauguration of the Science Data Management Center here in Zeuthen, Brandenburg, and as you know, it's always good to interact with or in or around Brandenburgs. That's basically what I can say to that point, so I'm super happy to be here. And as well, warm regards from my minister, from Bettina Stark-Watzinger, who is really deeply committed in research collaborations, in research infrastructures, and therefore some warm regards to you from her. And you mentioned my house, the BMBF, the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and it's true there is a long history in really supporting and financing international research collaborations. So it basically started in 2008 when we first time were thinking about what to finance, where to bring people together on large-scale infrastructures, and therefore it's a long tradition which actually started long prior to me, and therefore it's really important to know that there are so many good employees really working hard on that case, and therefore as well thank you for all of your work, empowering you to basically build such great places. And the interesting part, and I had a little walk up there, so all the offices look quite nice, and then we were stopping by at the little demo, and in my prior life I studied computer science, and therefore you can imagine that basically being in an inauguration of a science data management center, so it really makes the little nerd in me happy. And when I was hearing about how it's working, and this is why I had all the questions about remote control and all these weird non-state secretary things, it's super impressive to really think about what's happening here. So you mentioned the international part, and it really is important in the times to work together and to collaborate. It's super interesting from a data part and a data perspective what's happening here, because this is really the place where I would say you harvest the scientific crops of the telescopes and really then make a product out of it, a package, knowledge, or attract new scientists to come here to collaborate with DESY, and you bring more minds together. And this is something special on the international side, and it definitely is something special on the data side. And for sure, it's something special on the research side. Then talking about big data, I would say the astro community, Mr. Wiesler is nodding, handling big data and really having big data from out there of space is something where I guess your community in total is at the forefront, which somehow is challenging to us, basically to pay for all the data centers. But nevertheless, when there is a breakthrough, when there is something new from out of space, it's not only attracting you as scientists, it's really attracting everybody around the globe, the ordinary people, whatever it means, and therefore this is really of value as well from the scientific part. And coming to another part why I guess this is something special, and that's my role as a part of the federal German government, not only the research part, but having such an infrastructure here in Zeuthen, having people really so deeply into the data management part is important in total for Germany really as a site, as a data management and data usage site. And therefore I hope that this attracts bright minds, that really the knowledge will spread out and basically help us in total with a digital transformation of our society. Because if people are attracted to something, if people are involved, if people are interested, they are willing to open up to learn new things. And so this is actually something big, I would say, with all the 4 pillars I was just mentioning. And therefore, I'm very happy to be around and attend the ceremony. I guess I will not be here the last time. I was already asking where the next hotel is, to be honest. Unfortunately, we don't build hotels, so don't become that idea. No, different ministry. You can ask there. But nevertheless, I wish you all a nice communication, nice evening, good communications, and good networking. And thanks so much for the invitation, and all the best for you and your students.
Thank you very, very much. But as always, thanks a lot for this really nice work, but I think also for everybody, also from the BMBF. But even we are really invited to have meetings here, and if you want to come, you're very much welcome.
Eingeladen, auch Ihre Sitzung hier abzuhalten. Kommen Sie gerne
Germany
wieder.
is a federal state, and our research minister in the state Brandenburg, Manja Schüle, had actually intended to be here today. However, as most of you might know, election has taken place just a couple of weeks ago, and as you can imagine, she is working hard to help shape a functioning government, also for us here, for DESY in Zeuthen, and we are keeping our fingers crossed for her. We are all the more pleased that you,
Umso mehr
as
freuen
Dünow,
wir uns, dass
have made
Sie,
it
Herr
possible for
Dünow,
us to be
es
here
uns
today
trotz der
despite the
kurzfristigen Umstände
last-minute
ermöglicht haben,
circumstances,
heute
and
hier
so
zu
to
sein.
jump in. And your presence here
Und,
emphasized
Sie
the
zu
special
vertreten.
support that the state of Brandenburg has given to DESY here to our location, and we are very grateful for this. I have to say, for all non-German speaking guests, I will summarize the key points afterwards. Bitte begrüßen Sie mit mir Tobias Dünow, Staatssekretär des Ministeriums für Wissenschaft, Forschung und Kultur des Landes Brandenburg.
Please
Herr
welcome
Dünow, herzlich willkommen.
Tobias Dünow, State Secretary in the Ministry for Science, Research and Culture of the Federal State of Brandenburg. Mr. Dünow, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Stegmann. I have to disappoint you. First, I'm not Manja Schüle, and the second is I have to speak German. I don't have to speak German, but for decades I already said that I will only speak English in public if people are threatening me to torture me otherwise, because my parents decided to send me to a grammar school with only one foreign language, and actually my Latin teacher and my parents told me, yes, it's a lot of work. You don't know what will come out of that. You don't know why it could be beneficial. So you just have to study Latin. But it was similar to astrophysics. However, I'm certain that what you are doing here is bearing much more fruit than my traumatic first Latin lessons. And there are 2 reasons for that. Mr. Brandenburg already mentioned it. We have such a beautiful view here. For those not coming from Brandenburg, everywhere in Brandenburg, you will find these beautiful places. And there is another reason. before I was so lucky to start working here in Brandenburg, honestly, DESY was really absurd to me. There were so many people working on large infrastructures, and they tried to have particles collide, and then they see what's going to happen. And I really thought that's weird. But for me, that was actually natural sciences and basic research. And looking back, I was quite surprised. It was foreign to me. I come from human sciences, but now everything is much clearer. And it's thanks to you, Mr. Klutmann. Every time I come here to Zeuthen, I'm always impressed by the dedication and the competency of the people working here. Of course, we know that from the Helmut societies. But what I also see is people are so friendly and they are also very pragmatic. And I think this is very special. And I asked Mr. Brinkmann what the reasons are for that. So we have this center, the Helmut Society, and this campus here is not the headquarters. I heard that there are only 2 locations at DESY, but I heard that 90% of the DESY employees work in Hamburg and only 10% here in Zeuthen. So I heard that there's no problem with that this is the periphery. And Mr. Stegmann said, it's because of the competency of our colleagues, and it's because of the wisdom from DESY and the Helmut Society, because people made sure right from the beginning that Zeuthen will be an equal partner in this game. So I think this is great. Thank you so much for that. So I want to say it's a wonderful view. It's a great place, great room. And before I was responsible for science, and I was a little afraid of particle collisions and acceleration projects, I believe that this is very harmful. Either it is very harmful or they are sitting in an ivory tower. For me, ivory tower meant that people just conduct basic research independent of applications. For me, that was very negative. But now I have been working in the science field for quite some time, not just in Brandenburg. And I realized that science politics face the problem that they have to do without the ivory tower. The ivory tower, of course, has a bad reputation. I know that it's bad with regard to the elephant and because of the colonial history, but towers are actually nice. You can climb up the tower, you have a nice view, and it's like a lighthouse. You can give orientation and you can see what's happening around you. So it's a good thing, actually. So for me, it was important to also tell the Helmholtz employees, those people working in natural science basic research. I just wanted to tell them, don't be afraid of the ivory tower. I think it's fantastic. Each and every day, you focus on applications, you focus on transfer activities, and every day when I'm here, I learn something new. For instance, with regard to radiation therapy, Mr. Janssen just developed, or I signed a roadmap for quantum physics together with Mr. Janssen 2 weeks ago. So you really focus on local needs. And sometimes as scientists and research, you also have the right to take a step back. Of course, it is required to think of applications and you have to work in practice, but you also need the time and the space to think about the world, to think about what's going on out there. And you do that with astroparticles, you do that with the accelerators, and you always wonder, how does everything work? How does it fit together? And describing and explaining that with a big picture, that's great. If you have radiation therapies as a result of that, that's great. Or if we promote quantum computing through that, that's also great. We can further expand that. thanks for not laughing about that. We are already quite good, but we even want to improve. So what I want to say is generally, you should be proud of the fact that you think about how the world functions, how everything fits together, and not always having to focus on the applications. You don't have to step back into the ivory tower. You can just go to your canteen. You have a great view over there as well. This is a great achievement of you and your team. And we should also praise the BMBF, the Federal Ministry for Education and Research. They funded this. And the State Ministry of Brandenburg also provided some funding, 10%. So this is quite a lot in these difficult financial times. So this is a great location. I always love being here, and you can just be proud of what you are doing here each and every day. Thank
So many thanks, Tobias. Just to shortly summarize, okay, this core point which I learned, the next time we have to do this in Latin. So we have to do that and to try to do this. I think we have a lot, I think, of colleagues here, I think also from Italy and also from Spain, I think, who have perhaps can actually then perhaps even talk to you, because I think this is something also which is very nice, but also the support. I think thank you very much for the support also of the state of Brandenburg to do here curiosity-driven research, to think about how the world actually is functioning on a fundamental level, and to do this, and of course then also to spread out, to bring this to people, what we like to do here really very, very much. And this is some, of course, we very much like to talk about what we are doing, and I'm happy that you are still here. So normally I think we can also blow our parties, and so thanks a lot for this. But before we move on to the next part of the program, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody at DESY, both in Hamburg and here in Zeuthen, and all people involved and who contributed to getting this building here completed and looking as fantastic as it does. And now, some of you may have heard about the archaeological surprises we encountered during construction on our campus. It turns out that we are sitting, or at the moment that we are standing, here on quite a bit of history. When the construction started, we discovered 2,700-year-old Bronze Age pottery places, revealing that Zeuthen has a much longer story than we thought. So please, to all the Italians, I know that Rome was founded in 753. Please, forgive me. It was, for us, it was really a big surprise to see this. And maybe our ancestors have already sitting by this lake enjoying this view, but should be very clear, we will have a seminar on this, what is here underneath of us. It delayed the construction for a few weeks to find out what is actually going on here, or what was going on here during the Bronze Age, and I hope that also our colleagues from Italy find this very interesting. And these findings were the reason why someone claimed on April 1st, 2022, to have digged out a bronze plate that seemed to depict astonishingly precise astronomical phenomena, similar to the Nebra sky disk. And believe it or not, the fossilized bone, together with this, of a dinosaur, a Stegosaurus. So this is, you might believe it or not. And speaking of news that we need to look at carefully, in 2023, 1 year later, again on April 1st, someone was thinking aloud of integrating a full-blown TV studio into this very building, turning it into a broadcasting center for science, news, and entertainment. This may have been part of a joke, but I think some of us are now reconsidering this idea. Why not use this space here to create an open format to improve outreach in the sense, what Tobias Dünow just said, to improve outreach to civil society and to encourage open discussions on pressing issues. And let's start today and take a moment now up here to start such a discussion. We are at an exciting moment in astroparticle physics, in curiosity-driven research, something we just want to know, with transformative projects like the Cherenkov Telescope Array Observatory leading the way. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from distinguished scientists who will share their insights on how these developments will shape the future of the field, the global significance of CTAO, but then also DESY's and Germany's role in supporting such groundbreaking initiative. I'm very pleased to welcome here onto the stage Stuart McMurdo, the Managing Director of the Cherenkov Telescope Array Observatory, Beate Heinemann, Director for Particle Physics at DESY, and Ottmar Wiesler, the President of the Helmholtz Society. Warm welcome. So we even have names written down here where to place ourselves. So this is not really a TV show here. But I'd like to start with you, with you, Stuart. So how actually, because we're talking about the CTAO Science Data Management Center, but how will CTAO advance the study of our universe? Or to phrase it the other way a bit, how would our understanding of the universe look like in, let's say, 10, 15 years from now?
Good question. And actually, the last part of the question I can't answer, and I'll explain in a moment. Science is built on trying to take the knowledge we have and move it forward. CTAO is designed to have a sensitivity factor of 10 or more greater than what we have now. We want to take that and look at the extreme environments that are out there in the universe. We want to look at cosmic particles. Where are they from? What role do they have? We want to look at the actual fundamentals of physics. And so that's the taking what we understand and pushing the boundaries. The thing that excites me more than even that about CTAO, though, is that when every time you build an observatory, which is fundamentally an order of magnitude or more better than what exists, you discover those things that you didn't know. You know, for example, I come from another world a little bit, but when they built the 100-inch optical telescope on Mount Wilson in LA, and this is a bit over 100 years ago, they discovered that there were galaxies beyond ours. Our fundamental understanding of the universe changed. We went from thinking that our cosmos was this big to something that's much, much larger than this room. CTAO has the capability of doing that. We will change what we understand. So going back to the 5, 10, 15 years from now, I will be disappointed if I could answer your question. Because 5 years from now, I would like to say, I didn't expect that. Because that's what we try to do with something that is this great. I'm looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Stuart. We will come back to this in 5 and 10 and 15 years. So this, but this is, of course, something now here on the DESY research campus. And DESY, of course, has a large research program. But how does this align with CTAO specific goals, so what DESY is doing?
Well, DESY is fundamentally trying to understand matter in all its forms and in all its sizes. So starting from the very, very small particles that we have in particle physics, which are the fundamental building blocks of all of the matter that we observe, via matter that matters for our daily lives, like viruses, proteins, what builds life, basically, all the way to the most violent and the largest objects that are out there in the universe today. And that's basically the strength here of DESY Zeuthen, that basically looking at these gamma rays is one window towards these very, very interesting and spectacular objects. I remember actually when I was a student in the 90s, these gamma ray bursts existed, but it was very, very unclear what caused them. A lot of progress has already been made, and I agree completely that the most exciting about our research is, of course, that we try to travel towards the unknown, and we don't really know exactly what will come out. It could even tell us something about dark matter. It can tell us about very distant galaxies, neutron star mergers. There's really a lot out there. We can learn a lot of fundamental physics. We can learn a lot about astrophysical objects, and it's really one of the most exciting things we do at DESY, I think.
Thanks. Thanks, Beate. I think, okay, I agree. But Stuart, now a bit more specifically now, what to coming here, because we are opening on today here the Science Data Management Center of CTAO. So what role does the SDMC in Zeuthen play in scientific data management for CTAO?
Well, short answer is an essential critical one. Without the SDMC, there's no observatory. I mean, the SDMC's role is multifold in terms of the initiation and development of the observatory. Within this building will be the people who will coordinate the team that is spread across the world to actually build the software that makes the array run, but also in terms of the data aspect of being able to take the data that is collected by the two arrays in Chile and the Canary Islands, and to take that all the way through to come up with science products that are accessible to the community. And therefore, the SDMC basically makes it so that other scientists can, be part of this observatory. That's critical.
Thanks. Beate, how does it actually fit to the expertise of DESY when it comes to computing or big data management?
Well, it fits like a lock to a key. No, it's perfect, because the experience of DESY in the area of big data management is vast already, basically since the 70s or 80s, when particle colliders produced at that time large amounts of data. Of course, they are dwarfed by what we expect from CTAO today, but at that time it seemed like a large amount. I mean, gigabytes were large at that time. So, and ever since that time, DESY has built up more and more expertise, both in Hamburg and in Zeuthen. And now, of course, it's even, well, so it's very difficult actually to manage these data from these raw data, which basically nobody can directly understand, going to something that you can extract information from. And it's a complex workflow. And designing that well so that then one can really exploit the data fully and get information out. Nowadays, also with artificial intelligence or other smart algorithms, is really important that the data are well curated and well managed. And I think DESY is the perfect place to do this.
This is, I think, one aspect, but of course there's also the aspect of this international collaboration, and that did bring me, let's open up, I think, the focus a bit, Ottmar. So we are talking at DESY as one of the national centers within the Helmholtz Association, and what role does Helmholtz play in supporting Germany's contribution to international research projects like CTAO?
Well, I mean, as you all know, Helmholtz is a reasonably sized organization with a very ambitious mission, and that is to address some of the real grand challenges for research and society. We do this by building on a number of major pillars. Of course, the 18 centers, highly interdisciplinary with a lot of critical mass. A high-end research infrastructure is, as a matter of fact, a very important second element for us. The third one is long-term institutional funding, which we receive from the federal government, because this is the basis for picking up long-term risky sort of projects. Number 4 is brilliant brains. That is equally important. And number 5 is teaming up with the strongest partners we can find. High-end research infrastructures are fascinating for me for a number of reasons. First of all, they are essential for groundbreaking sort of discoveries. In physics, you are the experts for that. In polar research, when you think about major research vessels. In space research, when you think about the latest generation of satellites, or in information, exascale quantum computing. That's number 1. Number 2 is what I like about these research infrastructures also, they are real magnets for international talents. And we need international talents. And the third one is the data aspect. We are living at a time where everything undergoes a real digital revolution. And many of these research infrastructures produce amazing amounts of data from which we must attract new information. I just had a meeting today with an international panel which selected candidates for foundation models in the Helmholtz Association. And the kind of data you generate is exactly what we need for that type of research.
Thanks. But just first of all, just coming back, I will come to talents later because this is a very important point. But one again, a question, Stuart, to you. So what are the main challenges now and opportunities for managing a large-scale infrastructure like CTAO now in this international context? We have headquarters in Bologna, we have the SDMC here, we have 2 sites, one on the Canary Island, La Palma, and one in Chile. So what are these the main challenges, but also the opportunity?
Well, its strength, in a way, is the same reason why we have challenges. The strength of an organization like this is that it brings the talent and resources together of many countries, many institutions, many people. Those people, those institutions, those countries, they have different cultures, they have different ways of doing work, they have different structures. These are all challenges. Communication and inter-organizational collaboration, international cooperation is the challenge to actually bring everybody together. You mentioned like this, the SDMC here, there's the headquarters in Bologna. One of the things personally that's important to me is to bring those two together because obviously it's essential to have the success there. So communication is always key. But in an international endeavor like this, you have to be aware of how you communicate, you have to be aware of bridging that cultural divide, and you have to be aware that you can't do it alone. And no one nation can do this. It's all a matter of international collaboration and making sure that we work together for one goal.
But just to add on this, Ottmar, so how does Helmholtz contribute to this long-term sustainability of international collaboration, particularly in the current geopolitical climate?
Well, I mean, given the sort of size and long-term goals of our programs, it is very obvious that we are entirely dependent on global international cooperations, and that will never change, number one. Number two, at a time we all experience now, with all these geopolitical problems, conflicts, tensions, we should keep in mind that building bridges between scientists is probably more important than ever. So I'm a strong supporter of science diplomacy efforts. I think that is particularly essential during this period of time. And again, as I said, what I'm really impressed with some of these large-scale research infrastructures, they are real magnets for international talents. Visit the cafeteria at CERN or at the DESY in Hamburg, and it's amazing, or here, it's amazing to see how much brain power there is, particularly ambitious, young, international scientists.
Yeah, thanks, because this is something also, Beate, to you, this is something, how can this actually others even more, and how very concretely now, I think the idea is there, but how can we concretely actually help to promote young scientists?
How we help promote
what we can concretely do, or what we do at DESY.
Well, I mean, so there's a lot, of course, so that we, on one hand, we try to attract young talent by already engaging, for instance, here we have the Schüler Labor that we already, to pupils and even kindergartens, we try to do something so that people, kids are really curious to start with, and we need to foster that curiosity and try to channel it, at least for a large fraction or some fraction of them, into science, I think. So there we do a lot. Then, of course, attracting indeed talent at the bachelor and master level, and then also PhD and postdoc level, and doing that not within Germany, but also really from this international landscape. And that is also broadening, I think, that we have in Hamburg. I think it's more than 50% of the PhD students today come from outside Germany. So it's really very, very exciting, and really, I think also it gives a very stimulating and exciting environment to the young people, and it's also something we give back to society, that we enable communication with many people.
Thanks. And this is also something, okay, perhaps I have to say, before I come to this, actually to some kind of a final round, because I want to stick a bit to this topic. I was last week in Kiev talking to young people there, And I think what I brought back was the strong wish of these young people, please do not forget us. Please stay connected. And this is, I think, someone we can do, what also a project like CTA can do. And this is now just for the for the young people. But I have to ask now perhaps a bit more a general question to all of you. So it is this one thing, in the light of the shifting geopolitical landscape, what role do you see for science and international research projects, like CTAO, like at DESY, like in Helmholtz in general, in promoting this cooperation? What can we actually do more than we have done in the past for freedom and for stability globally? Perhaps who wants to start? Stuart. No, with CTAE concretely.
Who wants to start? Stuart. Excellent question. I think there are some fundamentals in how people think that bring them together. One of which is the curiosity and the urge to discover. And that is something that all of us have. And I think promoting that and showing that, which you can do with something like CTAO, makes it so that people realize that there is something about, beyond us as individuals, and actually makes it so that we think on a broader scale. There's also, like I was touching on before, with something like CTAO, you can only do it with international collaboration. So you can only answer that fundamental need if we all collaborate together. As I said, institutional level, national level. And so these are the things that end up being an example, because it goes beyond science, this sort of example, for all areas, about if we come together willingly, we can actually aspire to answer some of the biggest questions, or to answer some of the biggest needs we have as humans. And I think, how could you be more inspirational than that?
Thanks. What can DESY do?
Okay.
More than we already do.
Okay, it's of course hard to add on, but maybe one thing I think is that it's very important that we communicate the science in a very accessible way to as many people as possible. I think there's always room for improvement and figuring out how to do that effectively and to many people, both within this country but also broadly. And then we can also share. The good thing is with the international collaborations, we can share best practices. We can learn from each other. Oh, this is what we've done in Chile and it worked very well. And then we can copy, paste, things like that. So we learn from each other to broaden really the value of science for society, or the understanding of the value of science for society, and also the scientific knowledge. I think another thing we might want to do more is to really work also to get people who are experts in science, in communication at that level. I mean, with diplomats and people who really studied that, to try to understand really how we can make a bigger impact. And this is something where, so normally, because we're more in the natural sciences, so we don't talk so much to people, well, I mean, maybe privately, but institutionally, we may not, where there's maybe room for improvement, that we talk more with people from the social sciences to help us understand how we can use science to shape society.
Well, now the Helmholtz Association, as you said, quite sizable organization.
The Federal Ministry has recently initiated an interdisciplinary dialogue to define a memorandum which should lay the ground for future international cooperations based on research, security considerations, and I think that is a very important process, because at times of lots of geopolitical tension, we must define a framework which allows us to sort of carry out global interdisciplinary research under conditions we all subscribe to. Because many of the challenges we are currently trying to address are clearly global. Think about climate change, think about health, even all the information processing issues. And we must define conditions which allow us to continue international cooperations in these areas as well. Research infrastructures can play a very important role here as, focal entry points for international talents from all over. I think it's particularly important that we promote exchange between junior scientists. from all regions, because we all have learned the relationships we have established at a very young age as doctoral students or as postdocs are often maintained for a lifetime. And centers like the DESY, with all these infrastructures, with all the international sort of background, can play a very eminent role here.
Thanks a lot. I'd just like to add one point. I think this is directed to all of us. I think one point which is very important for me, although specifically in Europe, with all of our cultural differences, I think we should remind us all the time, very, very often, that we have much more in common than what divides us. And I think this is the point. And for me also, CTAO with the SDMC here and headquarters in Bologna is just an excellent example how this can work and how we can actually give an example to young people, but to the rest of the world, how free science works in an open society. I thank you very much. And as we conclude this discussion, you have to stay here, don't run away. As we conclude the discussion on the future of astroparticle physics, but of research infrastructures, also a bit on our future in Europe, it's clear that the path ahead of us is very both ambitious and exciting, and this with these projects like CTAO. So, and then again, also with international collaboration as the foundation of these advancements. So a big thanks first to our panelists for their insight in the discussion like these. I think highlight the shared vision we have, and this really to push further the boundaries of science and the future of science, of astroparticle physics also in particular, is bright. And so I thank you very much for being part of this important discussion. I hope that it will be also continue later. And so both today, later at the buffet, not now, because officially we cannot enter the buffet right now, and the future here at DESY and Zeuthen together with our partner CTAO. Because now I want to give the floor back to our ministry for the official key handover. Without key, you cannot open a door. So then the buffet is closed. So, and so this is so we need this now, and then I think we need both our state secretaries here from the BMBF, and then we have to make this here.
Actually, a massive
here.
key.
This is a massive key.
Yep.
So this key fits.
That's a decent key, so therefore. Die 10%, die 10%. More than welcome. So let's see if scientific excellence has to do something with the key size. If it's coincidence.
Because this won't fit in my pocket.
It fits in your pocket.
No,
yeah.
not very well.
So thanks. So I think we have.
Oh.
Photos are done.
So? That's the perfect angle to hold the key. Perfect.
Okay, so thanks. Okay. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Now it's up to you.
So with that, we close the official part. I need 2 more minutes. So please. We close the official inauguration of the building. To everyone watching in the live stream. Thank you for joining us for this. Where's the camera? This? This? Let's see it next time. I will be better in this. So to everyone in the live stream, I say thank you very much for watching. And so we appreciate your time and your support and hope that you enjoyed it. And to everybody who is on the live stream, I hope that we can see then people also here. I'm not sure, have we 1 million people connected to the live stream? It would be a bit too much for us here. So this is so we look forward to the exciting future ahead. So thanks to the people in live stream. Did I everything right?
Yes.
Oh, we.